Well, I'm so impressed with this vista. It is gorgeous over here. I had to pull over, pay attention to my feelings and my thoughts, and ever since I left the chapel in Chimayo, I had this pulling just to go right here and paint. It was not too far from the chapel. Beautiful vista. We even got cows out there. I figured I would stop at the Sanctuario Chimayo. So this is an area, a pilgrimage for Roman Catholics, probably the most pilgrimaged church in America. Inside this chapel, it's known to be of a healing nature. The soil itself that's under the church is said to be miraculous, healing the sick and allowing the incapable to walk once again. Now, filming inside the church is prohibited, but I'll tell you on the inside of it, there's very interesting iconography, almost primitive in style and form. The colors are very red, red and black and white. But if we take a look at where the holy dirt is located, you'll see there's a whole wall line of crutches of apparently people that were cured and had miracles bestowed upon them. I had a very spiritual moment in there. I was thinking about my grandmother and my mother. They both passed away. And how I came here a couple times in the past years and gotten Chimayo dirt for their healing. And it's just very touching for me to contemplate and to move into the heart chakra. You know, that feeling that they're not long gone. They may still be here. And I just love these hand-carved doors. Very nice. They look strong, sturdy, representing the heart. And the heart chakra, or the anahata, that is where I would say everything comes from. The seminal energy of our being is probably not in the head, but down here in the heart. And I also feel like I received a message to just go out there and paint. Go make some art. Do it right over here, where I got excited when I was coming through the mountains, down the Chimayo. Make another painting. Even though I'm in the middle of another one, why not go for broke? Use those supplies, especially when it's emotional. These mesas up here, they look like castles on the mountain. Very gorgeous. Oh man, I'm going to work this painting a little differently. Not sculpturally at first, but black and white. And that way I get to use the contrast, the value between black and white, the grays, to determine where my risen points are and my sunken crevices are. Well, first I'm going to make a mid-gray color. And once I got that going on, I can start putting it right in. Starting to dab. Use my sponge just to really mass in the color. It also gives some very interesting shape making and determination of between values of black and white. I really like to start with something where I could really sink my teeth into and paint over it. And it's as if there is a Y formation of these small canyons or crevices that comes right up in front of me. I'm going to mark that in right here, kind of like this Y formation here. That excites me. I like to see the differentiation between hill and valley. I got some of this cloudy sky in there, just a smidgen. We'll see how I could react to this sketch in paint with three-dimensional modeling paste. Let's see what happens. I'm back in Santa Fe, and I'm going to take this black and white sketch of a canvas and turn it into a three-dimensional impasto and low relief painting using the flexible modeling paste. I'm just going over the painting and try to get that movement within the stroke of the palette knife. And it's so important to do that because it is in the form of my brush stroke. And this is how the eye is going to move around the canvas in texture. And some of it may be thicker to bring out highlights, and some will be thinner to bring out background effects. Also, when there's a lot of sunlight out here, it's hard to determine the more risen spaces from the flatter spaces. So if we take a look here, and we can see that especially since this is white on white, it's very difficult to see, but the risen spaces are very blobby. And it's important to take note when I'm working like this with the tool that the palette knife is pressure sensitive, especially when I'm working with this modeling paste. I get to bring it in with a certain amount of pressure to make it flat, and then I get to glob it on like so when I want to make it really thick. I'm going to leave some of these spaces where you can see the canvas through the globs of flexible modeling paste. This is going to give me a marker when I look back at the photographed image of the black and white, so I could determine exactly what spaces I wanted to be risen and what spaces I want to push back. And now I'm going to go use a smaller knife to get in here for these little mesas in the background. First I plaster it in very simply, and then I could take a knife like this one, which is a little sharper on the edge, and actually do some design work in there. Get down and look at the side of this canvas from an eye level view of looking at the topography of it, I get to see all the highlights that are happening. And the highlights, white on white, is very difficult to see, but bending down like this, I can really see what is risen and what are the crevices. Here I am, not too far away from the sanctuary is the chapel of our Holy Child. This is apparently the only chapel that's dedicated to children, and it's quite beautiful inside. It does say the inscription above the altar, "Unless you become like a child, you cannot enter the kingdom." And that's how I see creation and creating art, is to be childlike, play, have fun, be open to all the possibilities, not limit yourself just to a visual response, but go deeper. Now this is a very bizarre Christmas tree. Now that the flexible modeling paste is dry, I could go back and use the reference of the original painting to paint in my grays, blacks, and whites to have something to react to as I continue the next phase of this painting. We can see really how high texture this is, lots of grooves, lots of crevices. And I translated the scene of the black and white into somewhat of a muted color so far. I'm really excited to where I'm going with it. Let's take a close look at it. Yeah, I really love these crevices and ridges. I want to pull the ridge forward, the crevice back. That's what I'm working with.
enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button and let YouTube know that this is quality programming for you. Also, join me as a subscriber to my YouTube channel, Daniel Kathalynas. That way you'll be able to get all the updates of the roaming artist and see me wander around in the woods and the cities and different places and maybe get into some trouble. But if you really want to be part of the art, join me at Patreon. URL patreon.com/Daniel Kathalynas. That'll bring you right there where you can take a look at all the artist perks that are in store for you, where we could do this thing as a team.